This NoGi driller's guide, I'm going to go over straight arm locks a little bit, so straight arm bars basically. And I'm just kind of getting back into the closed guard lately. I feel like I've kind of got away from the closed guard, and I've been doing a lot of open guard stuff and a lot of passing, so I'm trying to get back to some kind of basic fundamentals that I used to do from closed guard. But I really like getting that underhook series, so I like baiting going to the left of my opponent. Like, say I would try to do a hip bump, or say I would try to be fighting his left arm right now from our point of view. And when I do that, I slide for this underhook, and then I use it to manipulate, right? Like I keep his posture broke down, and I look at framing it and getting distance so that I can, anytime that I do an arm bar or any type of joint lock, my focus is like I'm constantly trying to take the slack out of my opponent's whatever I'm attacking, right? So like their arm, the knee bar, heel hooks, whatever it is, like instead of cranking on that first, my goal is how can I take out and like expand that rubber band as tight as possible before I attack it. And that's helped my game and my submission rate. Like right now, if you notice, I'm really trying to manipulate the elbow, right? So when I break the posture down and I get to the elbow, it's really important that I figure out how to keep control as long as possible. Right here, I like to grab my elbow, or I like to push his head away so that I'm like stretching his arm out. I like to make sure that I have that pinch right on his elbow, right? Not necessarily will I get the straight arm bar. I have a lot of success with the straight arm bar. I don't really have a lot of success with the wrist lock there, but I'm trying to see more wrist locks, so I'm just looking for them as I'm drilling, right? That's the key to micro drilling, right? I'm sitting here and I'm looking for every little avenue and every ounce of control that I can make sure that I'm applying, right? Like this Americana here, very, very low chance of getting a submission, but it gets reactions, and to me that's really important. What you have to have your submissions, but you have to have your reactions, because your reactions a lot of times are what set up submissions at higher level. And if you just think throwing an arm bar or throwing a Kimura is gonna work every time, it's not. You've got to create reactions, which a lot of times are what gives me the submission I want, or gives me the sweep that I want, or the position. And right now, you know, Brandon and I we're evaluating like what's the smart avenue to go from here. Where's the different positions? I'm trying to chain in some of my other, you know, like some of the other drilling steps like we did before when I was doing the Kimuras here. And he's kind of trying to explain, you know, where he would see a triangle from. And again, we're coming right back to this beginning of me. My goal is to get his shoulder connected to my chest, right? And once I get his shoulder connected to my chest, then I want to start thinking about, do I get my hips off to the side, right? Like he even wanted to add a little resistance there, because he's like, well, what if the person resists? And I don't mind resistant drilling, right? I don't like drilling with resistance until I start getting confidence with the move, right? I think that's the biggest problem with partners and communicating, is people want to start adding resistance to make it as realistic as possible, right? Before they actually have the technique down. And then of course the technique's never going to work. If you're sitting here trying to figure out the technique and they're adding resistance is the easiest part. Everybody can add resistance. Having the foundation correct and having the technique correct is the hardest part, and that takes a lot of reps. And so, you know, that's what we're doing right now. As we get more confident with the technique, as we start seeing that you can do this or you can do that, now we start adding, you know, what about if we drive into you? What if we drive away from you? What if we add a little bit of, you know, resistance here? Can the technique still work? And as long as the technique can still work with those little fine-tuning points, then you can start applying it to live rolling. Live rolling is where the resistance is supposed to be 1000%, right? Live rolling is where you're trying to make sure that your opponent can't do whatever technique they want and you can do whatever technique you want to. So if you're doing full resistance while you're drilling, you're going to struggle and you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to see the success that you want. So this is, exactly what we're doing right now, is we're going through different scenarios and different concepts, and trying to make sure that whatever we're learning is going to actually work during live rolling. So the biggest thing for me with my close guard is that I have chains on both sides. I don't want to just be one side focused. So right now, I'm trying to think about attacking the left arm, and I'm even, looking at concepts like, can I arm drag here? Can I trap his arm? The straight arm bar can go to the wrist lock. I can chase the back. And to make sure that at all times, like, my guard doesn't get past, or I'm not being lazy with my feet, or I'm using my entire body to make sure that the technique is perfect. That's kind of the way that you need to look at drilling. So again, I appreciate you guys watching this content, and we're going to keep drilling.